What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It is the 15th day of November, and here we are sitting at about $96,300. We've got 9 hours and 57 minutes left in the day. It is Saturday, it is the weekend, and typically Saturdays are very boring days. What do I mean by very boring days? I mean, they don't move a whole lot. I mean, here we're already up 1.8% on this day. That's actually a very exciting Saturday. Most Saturdays do not look like this, okay? We do not get movement on Saturdays. They're very neutral. Here, I'll prove it to you. Let's just do this. Saturday, where are you at? There's a Saturday. Look at how neutral that Saturday is. Every single Saturday from there, look, neutral, 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 neutral. They're all neutral. This one was a big one, and that was down 1.2%. You see what I mean? They're very boring days. Typically, neutral, 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 neutral. They're also, this is a very big Saturday. I don't expect that we'll move too much, but typically, again, when we do move up or we move down over the weekend, that does leave a gap in the CME Bitcoin futures prices. On that note, BTC futures, we look at that here. I have, for a very long time now, theorized that we would not come down and close the gap at 92K. For a long time now, I've been mocking, making fun of any of the gap bros for saying that we're going to go down here and fill this gap first. But man, looks like they might have been right all along. And it is possible. I want to say here, it is completely possible that we do fill this gap. And if we do fill this gap, Bitcoin will likely go lower. And if it goes lower, well, then we are breaking out of our megaphone pattern to the downside, right? We're still holding this line. I don't know why it's at 4 pixels. Let's do 1. 1 is way better. It's more, see before it looked like we are holding this as support, where here with 1 pixel it's like you broke through it a little bit, and we did break through it a little bit. Fake outs happen. Fake outs do happen, and we're getting a proper reaction out of it if it were to be a fake out. I must admit though, I don't like the turn of events that we've seen here, right? I don't believe, and I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, I don't believe that we're going to break down out of this pattern. I don't believe that we're going to see the measure move of this pattern take us to 60K or 70K or anything like that. But it's concerning being this low, that's for sure. And if we do break out any lower, if we get consistent days closing below these levels here, that could be very concerning. There is a scenario where Bitcoin wicks below. We wick down, we fill that CME gap, and then we move higher without ever closing a day below this level. We could get a fake out, but there's also the scenario where we find direct support here and we just move up. We don't even get that. So let's look at the short-term stuff. We'll look at the 1 hour. We'll zoom out from there and we'll just see what we can come up with for the immediate price forecast. Okay, so here we go. Hit the like button, subscribe. Here we are. 1 hour time frame here. You always can tell that it's the weekend whenever you just get an absolute drop off in volume, right? It's like back here, or I guess that was Wednesday, Thursday. Where? Oh, oh man. I guess the weekend was all the way back here. The last week, we're on the 1 hour time frame. Yes, this was your gap in volume here. You can see that was the last weekend there. Look at how boring it was. Look at how boring of a weekend that was. Already a little bit more excitement this week, but not too much. We're still being boring. I wouldn't imagine that we make strides higher right now. It could happen. It is possible. It could very well happen. But likely what we're going to see is just kind of hanging out at this level, 96.3. If we go lower, we'll come back up. If we go higher, we'll come back down, right? It's very possible that by the end of today, we do close back below like $96,000, so don't be afraid if that happens. Looking at the 1 hour indicators here, the RSI, it's kind of transitioned, hasn't it? It took a downwards trend. You had another downwards trend here. You've broken out of that. Now you're in somewhat of an upward sloping trend, higher lows and higher highs here. So that's a nice look in itself. Would make me think that we actually continue growing. Maybe we're not below 96K by the end of today. The stochastics are bullish, and the MACD is starting to build bullish momentum, looking like it wants to cross above the zero on the 1 hour. Maybe Bitcoin doesn't have a bearish end of day. Maybe we do actually finish the day on a strong note, and we could even close above 97K with the indicators looking the way they do here. Again, the higher up that we move over the weekend, right? It is Saturday, tomorrow, Sunday. The higher up we move, Friday's close was like right here for the stock markets. The higher up that we move above this, the more of a gap we leave behind us, right? So, and it is possible. We've seen gaps been left behind before, but those happen again when Bitcoin's moving up over the weekend. It closes on Friday here. It opens up on Monday here. That's because over the weekend Bitcoin moved up a little bit, right? So if we move up, we're going to leave a gap behind. Does that mean that it's a gap that we will come back and fill? Or is it a gap that we're going to leave behind just like this? Wouldn't it be funny if we came all the way down right near this gap as if we were going to fill it just to leave another gap here? That'd be kind of wild. Do we have any gaps to the upside? We do have a small gap here. I feel like we filled it though, right? Like this is a partial fill. A fill's a fill. I feel like you filled it. Anyways, in that sense, then have we not filled this gap already as well? Did we not wick down and fill it already? I don't know. Some people think that we need to wick all the way through to fill the gap. Some people think we need to close to fill the gap. Some people think that this is just enough. It's hard to say. Tomato, tomato, whatever. I think every chart's different. It's on us to understand our charts and understand their behavior. But anyways, getting back to work here, looking at the 4-hour time frame. The 4-hour RSI is at the same areas that it's been at every single time it's bounced. We've had a downtrend here, lower lows, lower highs, coming out of our uptrend here. Okay, typically downtrends end in the oversold zone, right? This uptrend here ended in the overbought zone. Downtrends end in their oversold zone. So now this level right here, what we're doing right now, breaking out. I think that we are breaking out, and I think that we're getting set up to move higher. It's not just going to be a straight line to the upside, but I do think we're setting up for a new trend here. We're breaking out of our downtrend. Time to start something new. 4-hour RSI looks bearish here technically, right? Just being at these low levels, that's bearish. You don't want to be below the 40, but with what you're doing, I would say you actually look more bullish than you do bearish, to be completely fair. I'm curious about the prospects that this has for us. We should at least get a nice pop up to this level here around $99,000, if not back above 100K to 104, maybe even upwards toward like 107K there, 108K is what the RSI is telling me. Stochastics are coming back as well, getting out of the oversold zone. Look at that, both the orange line and the blue line, they're both out of the oversold zone. This is good. We've done this before and it didn't merit much at all, so hopefully this time we can get a little progress here. We do have a little bit of bullish divergence on the stochastics there and on the MACD as well. Or is that bullish divergence? Nope, never mind, no bullish divergence. It's a slightly lower low, so no bullish divergence, but that's okay. The MACD doesn't look friendly, to be completely fair. It's the only one that doesn't look friendly, but out of all three of these indicators, it's the one that lags the most, so it'll look the least friendly for the longest. If we're looking at this on a daily time frame, the daily RSI has led us astray for the first time, really for the first time since March, because typically we bounce from this area and we will at least go to the 60, if not higher. And here we couldn't even get above the 50. So we were actually led astray. We actually saw lower readings, which is a not uncommon thing to do, but it's just not what we were expecting, right? Here you saw a lower low before you actually went higher. Here you saw some lower lows before you went higher. It's like a double bottom here, I suppose. Here maybe a lower low right there before you went higher, right? But we've been forming lower lows now really since October. I wouldn't assume that we are going too much lower than this, if lower at all. We very well could be at our low. And I am calling for the low personally right here. Yesterday I made the call that the low was in. We made the call here at this low. Went a little bit lower. I still haven't gone back, man. Some of my favorite things to do, or one of my most favorite things to do with this YouTube channel is whenever I make a call that the low is in, and then the price goes just below that low, I love to go check the comments on that YouTube video because all the trolls come out. They got no balls. They got no balls up here. But as soon as we're a fraction below, they come out and they talk smack, so then I'll go back and I'll talk smack with them. And then we move up, right? Like, I don't care. If I called for the low to be here and it went just a little bit lower, I have a feeling that when Bitcoin's at new all-time highs, calling for the low at that white line, it's a good call, right? It's a pretty good call. Anyways, when we do see new all-time highs, and I very much do expect that we will see new all-time highs. Looking at this on a daily perspective beyond just the RSI, the stochastics here are looking to cross up. The RSI is, for what it's worth, looking like it wants to bounce and reject the oversold zone. That's nice, right? Let me show you this behavior, right? Here, we rejected the overbought zone consistently. Rejected it, couldn't quite get to it. You saw slightly higher highs, sure, but inevitably, whenever you're in this territory where you should be getting overbought, but you're just not, you just keep rejecting it, inevitably that brought us down, okay? Same kind of thought here, same kind of consequence on the daily perspective, except to kind of an opposite effect. Now we're getting oversold, consistently bouncing off the oversold zone. And sure, we're getting a little bit into it. Sure, we're going a little bit lower each time, but I would think because we're not getting as oversold as we quote unquote should be, right? We're not getting these deep readings. We keep rejecting it. I would assume that there's going to be a bullish reckoning coming our way pretty soon, right? And the stochastics here are crossing up, which is nice, but they're still oversold. The MACD here does have bullish divergence, which is nice as well, but we are building on that bearish momentum. So if we want this bullish divergence to prevail, we need to close today green. I think we would need to close tomorrow green as well, which asking for Sunday to close green is not that much, is not that hard of an ask. Sundays typically do close green. This is double bullish divergence here on the MACD, and I think that'd be a very powerful signal that could send us back above 110K even, right? Back to the top ends of this range here, all the way toward 117K. Here we are at 96.3K now, right? We've been at this level before. Just to put things into context here, we've been at the same level before, guys. Hold on, let me get it appropriately here. And then one day later, literally just one day later, we were all the way back at 104K. So Bitcoin can move very fast from here. We've seen it happen before, right? 4 days, 5 days later, you're all the way up at 109K. You know, from here, one day later, you're all the way up at 102K, right? Like, we can move at a very fast pace, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if we did break back above 100K from here, right? I do expect that on a weekly time frame, we are going to close below this 50-week moving average. I actually just made a video talking about that. We have technically, depending on what scope you use, depending on what parameters you use, but we have like a less than 1.5% chance of closing this week above the 50-week moving average. It's not that it can't happen. I just accepted that it's going to happen, that we do close below it. I think I'm a rare bird here because I think most people in crypto might not want to say this, but I think we are both going to close below the 50-week moving average, and I think we found our low, and I think the bull market is still on, right? I think all these things. Where most people would think if we close below here, it's the end of the bull market, we're going down, that sucks. I'm expecting this next week to actually be good. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if next week we did close back above 105K. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, hell, we might even close above 110K, 114K next week. The rest of this month, I think, is going to be good. But we've pulled back a great bit. Speaking of the monthly time frame here, we've pulled back a great bit. We had some bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. We've seen that come to play. Now what we have is we have lower lows in our RSI alongside of higher lows in our price, which is hidden bullish divergence. We have hidden bullish divergence on the monthly time frame, both on the RSI and the stochastics. We actually, look at that. We actually have a red cross here on the monthly. That's not good. This actually, to be completely fair, this might be the best case. This might be the best signal that the bear market's beginning, because when we flip red on the monthly time frame, typically we do. Although last cycle, I guess we did have a couple false crosses, didn't we? And we weren't in a bear market. It can happen, but just typically that's not good. So we need to, by the end of this month, close green, I think. And I believe we will, right? To close this month green, we just have to close above 110K. I think we have a solid chance right now with 15 days and 10 hours left in this month to not only close green, but to close at new all-time highs. But we'll see. What a hell of a reversal that would be, right? It'd be very akin to what we did back here in April, or what we did back here in August, which those low points there had the exact same readings or maybe not the exact same readings, but in April, very similar readings. In August of 2024, pretty similar readings, a little bit higher, but very fearful readings on both accounts. And then we moved up higher. Looking at this on a weekly time frame, the weekly RSI is at the same levels that we were last time we found support, the time before that we found support, the time before that as well. If we put our vertical lines here and we put them down at these points, these low points here, whenever we first get into this area, we can see that Bitcoin here was at its low. Here was very near its low, went a little bit lower. I'm going to hide the 50-week moving average because I don't think we need that anymore. Went a little bit lower, but still you're at a low point overall. Here you're at your low as well, but a little bit lower nonetheless. Could we go a little bit lower from here? It's very possible. In fact, by the way that we're looking at this here, I think it'd be more expected to see slightly lower lows, to be completely fair. But I am calling for the low to be in. Maybe I'll be wrong, maybe at my own detriment. The stochastics look the exact same as well as they have every single time that we found support, right? Every single one of those lines directly coincides with the time that we were oversold in the stochastics, just like we are now as well. The MACD, also very similar. getting to very deep levels in the histograms like we did the last few times, and the oscillators here all in the same kind of line, this trajectory going upwards. Right, we're finding support right here every single time. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. On the MACD oscillators as well. So all of our weekly time frames, look, you see what I'm talking about right here, right? Because those white lines, all these white lines were in response to where we were in the RSI, right? Which directly corresponds as well with this point that we bounce from every single time this cycle on the oscillators on the MACD, and when we get oversold to the stochastics. So there are a lot of signs telling us that we are at the low point here, and if we're not at the low point, we're very akin to it, like this here, right? Like we're akin to this low point here, where we're very near the low, but we had a little bit lower to go. If this is not the low, we're very near it, and I would think that we probably don't go any lower than, maybe 91K if we were to go lower at all. That CME gap could fill. It is possible that it fills, but wouldn't it be perfect if as soon as we get down here, we just turn around and we leave another gap behind? We have like 2 gaps right in the same area that just don't get filled when we go up to see new all-time highs. I think that'd be great, but I've got nothing else for you guys. I think I've said enough. So if you like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.